What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. This is episode number 12 of the F1 2019 career mode series we're running on the channel. This is the German Grand Prix. Last episode I was off in a bit of a rush. I didn't really explain all too well the upgrades that we had planned for this episode. Yep, two of them failed. The two that we actually did at the end of the last episode, so drag reduction and an ERS capacity upgrade, I think. We had a major front downforce upgrade go on the car in time for this race, so that is awesome. Oh, we also did a major engine upgrade. So yeah, we did 3 upgrades last episode, and then one that was, you know, running for a while ago, but it's finally gone on the car today. So yeah, 2 of those failed, which we will rectify at some point during this episode, but at least we have the front downforce upgrade going on the car, and that'll make the car a whole lot more pointy through the third sector of the Hockenheim ring. Practice 1, I felt initially that the pace was not as strong here as what it was in Silverstone, which is really odd because in the last race, we didn't bring any upgrades to that circuit, but the pace was amazing. I felt like we actually made some good ground, and I felt like we were somewhat more competitive than what we were all season, despite not bringing any upgrades. But here today, we bring a major front downforce upgrade, and I actually feel like we've gone backwards somewhat. I definitely know that that's not the case, but it's again the whole guessing game of the AI being so inconsistent circuit to circuit. I really hope that this is patched with the game, because at the moment, yeah, like I said, it's a huge guessing game as to whether, yeah, you'll be fast or last or anywhere in between. I've noticed that France is a massive OP circuit for the AI. Even New Zealand Ryan was struggling up against the AI. He was last and falling off the back of AI around that circuit. So yeah, I think there definitely needs to be some balancing done from circuit to circuit. But please, do not make the AI slower. Just make them more consistent. But anyway, with all that complaining out of the way, we are here for this Grand Prix. What I could also put it down to maybe is the power unit that we're running was quite old. The ICE itself was like 80%. But yeah, we'll see how the performance improves over qualifying. We're chucking a brand new ICE in for this race. It'll be our last one for the season. We're on all brand new or fairly new components. We don't have any more spare sets left for the rest of the season, so it's getting dicey.
Welcome back to qualifying, where we're waiting for the lights to turn green in the pit lane to signify the start of the session here at the Hockenheim ring for this weekend's German Grand Prix.
Alright, so here we are for qualifying. Before I get underway fully, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button to make sure you can keep watching my videos. The support you guys have been giving me over the last week or two has literally been life-changing, so I can only say thank you so much for all the support and for continuing to watch my videos. I really do appreciate it. But anyway, we're jumping right in here to qualifying 1. I did one run, I think is the terminology I was after. I did one run already on a new set of soft compound tyres. The lap itself, I'm not overly happy with. It only leaves me in P13 at the moment, so we have to do another run on new tyres through the final corner. I've had a massive oversteer moment, and I didn't even open DRS, because by the time I realized I forgot to open DRS, I was pretty much at the line anyway. So there we go. We're through to the next session. A very messy first part of qualifying, but if we clean up a few things, we should be on our way to the top 10, I feel like. But you never quite know. The AI will continue to step it up, and I need to step it up just as much, if not more, to match it with my teammate. But anyway, Q2, again, we've set a couple of laps. I did one lap on old softs. I did a run as well on mediums, which delivered me the 13.9, I think. And now we are putting on the only set of brand new softs we have left for qualifying. And here we go, purple to the first sector. So I got a really nice run through turn 1, which sets you up so nicely for the rest of the lap. Turn 1 is a very contentious corner, very easy to track extend and also corner cut, so it's very easy to lose the lap. But on this lap in particular, I just went full send and I gained like 3/10 in the first sector. So we're looking amazing. 1 second up on our previous best. which was set on the medium compound tyres. I think the delta is near enough to a second, so we are living up to that potential at the moment, and then some as we come through the final sequence of corners. Front downforce looking after me there through the final corner, and that is us into Q3 with an amazing lap. Puts us in P6. So that's a 1:12.4, by far the best lap of the weekend for us. Daniel Ricciardo some 4/10 away, so maybe the AI aren't as OP here as what I thought, but we move on to qualifying 3, and we also get a brand new set for this session. But this lap wasn't as good as the one that I'd put in Q3, and it puts me in P10, and yeah, last in Q3, unfortunately. Daniel stepped up. He went even faster than what I did in Q2, so maybe, yeah, I think it's balanced, to be honest. So I will shut up now, and I will just get on with what I need to do for this weekend. P10, not an ideal scenario to be in, given that we are now committing to at least a 2-stop race here in Germany. I noticed that the tyres went off super fast around this circuit. One flying lap gave me like 22% tyre wear. So I would imagine that the tyres are going to melt like cheese in the opening laps of this Grand Prix, and we'll want to get off them as soon as possible. So those starting beyond the top 10 will have a massive advantage. But it's going to make the race hella exciting.
There's nowhere at all I'd rather be today than here at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix. We have an incredibly competitive field this year, which means we should be in for a treat. And judging by the sea of people filling the grandstands, there's a fair-sized chunk of Germany that agrees with me. And with me, as usual, is Anthony Davidson. Now, we probably ought to start by discussing Sebastian Vettel. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Right, let's be patient going into turn 1. We want to be in a good position for the rest of the race. Good luck.
Charles Leclerc leading the championship so far in this season. I haven't really paid too much attention to the championship battle, simply because we're not in it. But it is really cool to see Ferrari up there and fighting with some young blood there in the form of Charles Leclerc. But anyway, like I was predicting, the strategy is to get off the soft compound tyres as soon as possible. The game said lap 4 for me initially. I'm trying to play around with the strategy to see if I can maximize it a little bit better. Sometimes Renault have been somewhat dodgy, and I just want to minimize any kind of risk of being on the wrong strategy. Looks like soft, medium, and then hard is the way to go. But I'm just trying to play around with it at the moment. I just want to see how the tyre wear is on the medium. If it's not too bad, the plan will probably be to switch on to medium again to finish the race. But I want to make sure I still stop on lap 4. I don't know when Ricciardo was pitting. It might be lap 5, so I decided to switch it away from that so that we're not blocking each other in the pit lane. But 5 red lights, and away we go. Finally, for the German Grand Prix. It's an initial getaway that's awesome for us, but kind of went nowhere after the shift up into second and third gear. It seems to be a trend I'm noticing now that, yeah, just can't lay down the traction too well up against the AI, which is frustrating. But anyway, we hold position on this first lap. We're trying to work over Sergio Perez, trying to get a nice exit to set myself up nicely for a move up the inside into the hairpin here on the first lap. Everybody going for the inside. So I'm going to take the outside here. Double overtake on Lucas Weber and also Sergio Perez. We get better exit and better momentum around the outside of the Haas. He's got decent horsepower, but we're going to have the inside for the next left-hander, and that is us up in a P8. 2 Red Bulls sandwiched in between myself and my teammate. So let's see what the performance is like between the two of us today, or the two teams, shall I say. We're making some really solid inroads to the top runners in the F1 grid. I've got to say, upgrading this year on the new game still looks like it's way too fast for the player. So I think I might have to slow myself down somewhat, or what I plan to do anyway is focus on some reliability, and that'll probably balance things out a little bit for us. But Meanwhile, tyres are melting. Look, I think the engine is melting as well. It's overheating quite a bit. I've put it through a lot of stress on this opening lap. 40-odd% on the softs already, and we've only done 2 laps and 1 flying lap in Q2. Unbelievable scenes as Lucas Weber gets the position back, and now we might just have to calm down a little bit in this race. So it was all gun-ho on the first lap, and I've tried to continue it on this one, and the tyres, just the car in general is not accepting it. So I need to, yeah, just take a chill pill, relax,
Okay, we need some energy
and
harvesting. Reduce ERS deployment.
play it by ear, because you have to go about your driving a whole different way on F1 2019. Being smooth and consistent is much more rewarding for you in the race, at least. And yeah, I was just not doing that on the first lap. But here we are for a very early stop for a set of mediums. I was actually called in by the team. We've got a strategy change, and I would 100% agreed with Jeff here. The undercut is quite powerful on F1 2019. The tyres heat up really quickly as well, which only boasts the strategy of doing an undercut. So we're going to have clear air, and we might be thrusted again into the front runners fight if we are fast enough, which I don't know if we have the natural pace here like we did in Austria. But we're still going to press on as hard as we possibly can. Minus 3 laps down on fuel, but don't worry, that is 100% intentional. The Renault engine is really, really efficient with burning fuel. I can actually save fuel while still running in standard revs. But trust me, by the time we get to the end of the race, we'll be positive on fuel, and I can still get to the end comfortably by doing that. I'm running a lighter car, and running in rich revs is not as good this year because it overheats the engine. You only want to be doing it sparingly on straights here and there. It's just the best way to go. So yeah, it didn't take me long to figure that out. But meanwhile, we've got some people diving it in. Obviously, first stint was not going to be too long on the soft compound tyres, so a lot of the top 10 runners are now in the pit lane. We're overtaking people who started on the mediums, and even their tyres are looking a little bit average because I'm just driving around them pretty much as we see Max Verstappen rejoining behind us. So we've undercut the Red Bulls. We undercut a Toro Rosso there into turn 2, and it's happy days at this stage. A lot of traffic to deal with at this phase of the Grand Prix. This is going to make for a very interesting Grand Prix, I'd say, as everyone is literally fighting up and down the field to find their place in this race. We try and hold a place around the outside of Albon. We just about do that. Verstappen gets him only a matter of seconds later, and now he's on the back of us again. So this is a really hectic stage of the Grand Prix. Just very imperative that we clear the traffic and not wear out the tyres all too much. I'm also saving fuel here and there while I'm stuck behind these guys, say through the third sector. But now that we're on the straight, it's time to attack. Kubica getting attacked by Raikkonen. We're going to go for the inside. The gap was closing, but we just about forced that at the right time. Let's see if we can get a better exit than Raikkonen. I tried to swing it around the outside to get a nice exit. Didn't exactly work, but now as we enter this final corner, we seem to be a lot better than lower teams here. Their front end is just nowhere. But to be fair, we were overtaking Force Indias, and now this is Alfa Romeo Sauber. This is not got the greatest amount of downforce, where we've just had our major front downforce upgrade, so we're obviously going to be amazing on newer tyres versus these guys. Raikkonen coming back at us on the straight. The Alfa is very, very fast in the straight line, and we're just that much better with our newer tyres. We're getting back and into P10. There's a big train of cars up ahead. There's Force Indias, McLarens, Haas's I up there, believe. Oh, God, I stuffed that one up, didn't I? But meanwhile, we've got it's bloody Devin Butler behind us. I thought I was battling Verstappen, but now Butler has got his way into an attacking position as he heads into the hairpin. He's on softs again, so that's going to be a very, very short stint for Devin here in this middle stint. He'll probably be doing a, 3-stop in this race?
That is Daniel behind you. Our gap behind is 1.3 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 3 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1 minute 17.5.
So, yeah, there's just so much going on with strategy. Devin opting for the 3-stop, I think. by using softs twice. That is not the strategy that I would want to employ in this race. But meanwhile, we've got Daniel on 2 or 3 lap fresher mediums, and he's going to be quite pacey in this phase of the race. So I've decided to just let him go. Play the team game somewhat because, yeah, the pace between myself and Daniel is quite close. And if I actually let him go here, this might help my race because I'll try and employ a similar tactic to what I did in Austria. Just use this slipstream. I'll try and keep the engine in lower fuel mixes and hopefully keep the temps down. And also at the same time, not stress the tires as much by having to make lap time through corners as much. So, yeah, I just find it so much more stress-free to actually follow a car that's got decent pace. And hopefully Ricciardo can, yeah, kind of carry us to the next group of cars. I've gone in way too deep into the hairpin. I've actually touched my teammate. I don't know if there's front wing damage on the car or not, but that was very, very dicey. We'll need to check the damage indicator, but I think it's fine at the moment. Massive lockup and a bit of a slide through the hairpin. Max getting very, very close, and thankfully we actually held position through all of that. I checked the damage indicator. We're fine. I swear, I'm literally like a cat in these Grand Prix races where literally 9 lives with my front wing. I have these tiny little touches here and there on sim damage, and we just about managed to get away with it. Sometimes not, like in Australia, we had some slight damage there, but even then, it wasn't catastrophic, you'd have to say. Daniel getting aggressive on the McLaren. We're going again around the outside. That seems to be a happy hunting ground for us today. Trying to get a nice exit, which I feel like we got. So we'll see if this can give us a couple of extra MPH down the back straight here. Ricciardo going for the inside. A lot of spaces open up around the outside. And now that's going to be potentially a 3-car overtake into the hairpin. Don't mind if I do. I'm now into P9 and Ricciardo has been boxed in by the midfield runners. What a sequence of events that turned into. Daniel just got blocked in by the McLaren of Sainz, and we just went clean as you like around the outside into P9. Here's the onboard with Daniel. He should have moved over to the right a little bit more, committed to the move possibly. That would have screwed me over somewhat possibly, but I'm glad he didn't. And now we are looking quite good getting through the traffic here. Stroll is up next. Yeah, these guys on their mediums, their tires are getting quite dead now, and you probably imagine that they'd be stopping very, very soon, if not maybe even this lap. So we'll see how that goes. The engineer wants me to stay out for the rest of the Grand Prix. I am not doing that one, Chief. We need to, I think, switch on to hards to go to the end now, given that we stopped quite early for our mediums. So in order to make it through to the end with minimal tyre wear, hards will have to be the way to go for this race. Norris is up next. I think he's going to be stopping now. I know Sainz is in, and I think one of the Toro Rossos. That frees up Daniel and Max, but I think Max is going to be pretty furious here, stuck behind all the traffic, including the Renault. Tries to go around the outside of my teammate. Will Daniel leave the space? Yes, he does, actually, so that is surprising from the Australian, and he'll follow him through. Maybe he's doing a similar tactic to what I'm doing. That probably would be smart for Daniel to follow him through. But anyway, midfield runners are now finally making their stop. They might be one to watch in this race, because Norris is getting an undercut on me, going on to hards, and yeah, that's definitely going to throw a spanner into the works. Like, some people inside the top 10, if they're bad on tyres, might be not scoring points today. But anyway, it is pit stop time for us. We're responding a lap or two later than what we did compared to Lando Norris. I was actually scheduled to come in on the last lap as well, but I thought, I've got some clear air now. I may as well make the most of this. I thought I'd push, use the battery a bit more, and kind of eke out the last bit of performance out of these tyres before making my stop. So I went personal. I did a personal best on the previous lap, so that was kind of nice. So I don't think it was the worst strategy in the world as we rejoin on the circuit. Lando Norris is right there, and we emerge right in front of Grosjean. So in the grand scheme of things, I think that's a good choice from me, and I think we'll be able to overtake Norris potentially on the straight. The McLaren isn't the greatest in the straight line, so we might get this move done, and we're not even going to utilize higher engine modes. Norris goes defensive, and he's really parking it on the apex here. McLaren is really due for a performance buff in the first day patch or whatever performance patch that they need. So they might be one to watch either later on this season or the start of season 2 potentially. But we're going to go around the outside of Norris here. Better downforce we have in the Renault. Slightly fresher tyres, though I don't think it matters too much given that we're on hards, that we make the use of that anyway. And we are into, what, P5, P6 potentially? I'm not too sure. Daniel is in now and he's going on to the medium. So finally Renault being a bit proactive, a little bit aggressive with Ricciardo's strategy for once. And yeah, he might be one who closes up onto the back of me in the dying stages of this race. Just 12 laps to go in this German Grand Prix. And I've got to say, this one has been an absolute cracker with all the traffic we've had to manage. Both, you know, oh no, that's Norris getting his race KO'd. I think that was one of the Haas's of Grosjean getting forced out by Verstappen at turn 1. And now Norris is going to sink like a stone in this Grand Prix. Really unfortunate because he was looking so good with the one stop to put him in that position. But being that he was in a McLaren, he was somewhat out of position with his performance. The McLaren is still, yeah, quite slow on the F1 2019 game, so that certainly needs to be upgraded. But yeah, no luck for him today. But meanwhile, 7 laps to go in this German Grand Prix. We're settling in to P6. It looks like we're set for a bit of a dogfight here with Max Verstappen over this 8-point position we have at the moment. Verstappen going up the inside into the hairpin. I've turned the engine down, and I think I might let him go here. And we will save just a little bit more fuel, a little bit more battery, and then I'll try and attack him towards the end of the race. The reason why I've actually let him go is because my pace isn't as strong as Verstappen or Ricciardo, so the aim is to stick in Verstappen's slipstream and to hopefully run with him and stop Ricciardo from coming back at me. I feel like this will be the best result for us today if we do this, so we'll see how it pans out. You can see I'm actually lifting on the back straight, such as the overspeed that we have on the Red Bull. We actually don't want to overtake him, like I said, because my pace isn't as good as Verstappen's. If I overtake him, I'll be slowing us both up, and then Ricciardo might get us both. But now I'm starting to think that maybe it's for the best if I overtake Verstappen here, because Ricciardo, despite running at Verstappen's pace, Ricciardo is catching us anyway. So I feel like we might be on for a potential 6-7 for Renault in the results. So I'm just going to attack Verstappen here, and maybe Ricciardo can get involved in the mix anyway. So I feel like, yeah, the fight for P6 is going to be a three-way affair anyway, so we may as well get in front of him and throw a spanner into the works. So there we go, P6 for us. Ricciardo, you need to have a go now and see what you can muster in this Grand Prix. Weaving the wheel like mad because I was quite happy that I managed to overtake a Red Bull and that we're actually in a legitimate fight with these guys. Here goes Verstappen up the inside into the hairpin. Nice move. They're going to hold it around the outside. Better traction. And looks like we're going to hold on. But I'm, you know, willing on Ricciardo here to get in the battle, to, you know, get involved and see what he can muster. 2 laps left to go in this German Grand Prix. Right here, I'm having a bit of a cheeky exit. I was a little bit slower out of that corner than what I normally would be, because I'm trying to just hold up Verstappen a little bit, but still get a nice exit. It's kind of a win-win scenario if I can manage that. But here we go. I think Ricciardo has got a nice run. It's 3 wide down this back straight into the hairpin. I think Ricciardo is on the inside. Verstappen not giving me any room whatsoever. And I think we're through. Yes, we're both through for P6 and 7 in this German Grand Prix. Verstappen has been absolutely mugged by the Renaults, just ganging up on him in the closing stages of this race. Again, Verstappen really didn't leave me any room there. I had to take off the circuit to, you know, still stay in the fight. And there we go. P6, P7 for Renault with only a lap and 1/4 to go. Now, I've got a decision to make. Do I want to be selfish? Do I want to be greedy and take away this position from Ricciardo? Or should I play the team game and somewhat hold up Verstappen still and just make sure that we get P6 and P7? Because if I attack Ricciardo here, it could leave him vulnerable to getting overtaken by Verstappen as well. But I think I'm going to attack him anyway. We're just going to turn up the engine and we're just going to see how it plays out. In the slipstream, DRS, we're closing. Not really worth a dive bomb, not at this point. We'll see if we can get a better exit here and then set up the move nicely into the next left-hander. Then we know that Ricciardo can't really counter-attack us. We're trying to get to the inside. Ricciardo's covering it off nicely. Switch to the outside. Ricciardo blocks that off as well. I didn't try my absolute hardest there to get in front of him, I will be honest. But there you go. You can have it. I say you can have it. I didn't really overtake him, but yeah. Ricciardo, I feel like he's earned that one. P6, 8 points for him. Charles Leclerc wins the German Grand Prix, and I've got to say, this is going to be an amazing team result. I've turned it up into hot lap mode to see if I can maybe nab P6 off of him on the run up to the line, but it's not going to be. What it is, though, is an amazing team effort.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Absolutely amazing result today. Even though we've had better races, like we've got podiums here and there, but that really felt like a satisfying race. So much, dogfighting between different teams. Front-running teams, midfield teams, back-marker teams, a lot of traffic, a lot of strategy, and I've got to say that has got to be my favorite Grand Prix of the entire season. That was incredible, and the fact that, Renault was able to team up at the end there and make something work and just take these little stabs at Red Bull was so fun. It was absolutely awesome. But there we go, guys. That has been the German Grand Prix. If you enjoyed, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2019 career mode and other online videos. Here's the highlights. Just a brilliant team effort to run at Verstappen's pace, to save fuel, save ERS, and then strike again at the perfect moment where Verstappen didn't really have much time to respond. We got it done, and we move on to the next race with a lot of momentum. Like, the wind is well and truly in the sails of Renault at this point. Here's the nice little battle we had with Daniel on the last lap, and then weaving across the line. I was so happy with the results of that Grand Prix. And it just leaves me so excited for the future races to see what this Renault team can do. Yes, we've upgraded at a ridiculous amount, but now it's time to focus on reliability. The speed is there. We just need to lock down the longevity side of the car, and we can have a good finish to the season, I think. Meanwhile, driver rivalry, we seem to be losing a little bit of points to Daniel there, but I really don't care. We made some solid gains in the team standings, really solidifying P4 in the constructors standings, I believe. Another good bout of resource points, which is awesome to see. But what we're going to do upgrade-wise right now is we're going to consolidate the failed upgrades that happened at the start of this episode. So the drag reduction system, just the reducing drag, sorry. And then we're also going to improve the ERS side of the engine. Because at the moment, I really am wearing out the ERS, and I feel like I'm having to constantly save ERS in the battery. I can't really push too much, but now with that improved, that should hopefully make our race pace somewhat better. In terms of durability, we're also going to improve the turbo, so hopefully that can have better longevity, and we won't need to take too many power unit components in the second half of this season. But like I said, we're on our last fresh set of components now, all around for the power unit. Gearbox wear hasn't been too bad, I won't lie, that's been alright. But we really do need to look after the engine because we've still got half the races to go, and we have no more spare sets to use. So that's going to be an interesting management factor we need to consider into our campaign for the second half of this season. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.